The doubters just got their answer shoved right down their throats. The skeptics who kept saying the schedule was soft, who kept claiming this turnaround was fake, who refused to believe what was happening right in front of their eyes, they all just witnessed something they cannot deny anymore. The world champions got absolutely dominated on their own field. A team that was supposed to expose the fraud just got embarrassed in front of the entire league. The running game that was supposed to be shut down just ran wild for over 280 yards. The defense that was missing its top 3 linebackers just created 2 massive takeaways against a team that never turns the ball over. And the head coach, who was supposed to be in over his head, just orchestrated a masterpiece that nobody saw coming. This is not a fluke. This is not luck. This is the new reality of the National Football League. Welcome to the Ben Johnson era in Chicago. The Chicago Bears just made the loudest statement of the entire season. They walked into Lincoln Financial Field on Black Friday and absolutely demolished the Philadelphia Eagles 24-15. This was not just a win. This was a complete and total domination of the defending world champions on their home turf. The kind of performance that forces the entire league to stand up and take notice. The kind of game that separates pretenders from contenders. And make no mistake about it, the Bears just proved they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Let me paint you the picture of what happened in Philadelphia. The Bears came out and immediately imposed their will with an 11-play, 78-yard drive that ended with DeAndre Swift punching it in from 4 yards out. Swift, playing against his former team, ran with a fury and purpose that was absolutely beautiful to watch. He finished the day with 125 yards on 18 carries and that touchdown. But here is what makes this even more impressive. The Bears were not done establishing dominance on the ground. Kyle Monangai, the rookie sensation who keeps getting better every single week, added 130 yards on 22 carries with his own 4-yard touchdown run in the third quarter. Think about that for a second. 2 running backs eclipsing 100 yards in the same game. You know the last time that happened for the Bears? November 10th, 1985. Walter Payton and Matt Suhey, the Super Bowl season. That is the kind of company we are talking about here. That is the kind of historical context that should make every Bears fan realize what they are witnessing. The offensive line completely mauled the Eagles' front 7. They opened up holes so massive that my grandmother could have run through them. They controlled the line of scrimmage from the opening snap to the final whistle. The Bears outrushed Philadelphia 281 yards to 87. Let that sink in. The Eagles, with their vaunted defensive line, got pushed around like they were a high school team. This was old school smashmouth Mike Ditka football at its absolute finest. But here is what separates great teams from good teams. The Bears did all of this with Caleb Williams throwing for only 154 yards on 17 of 36 attempts. The passing game was not clicking because of the wind and some accuracy issues. And you know what? It did not matter one bit, because Ben Johnson had a game plan and he executed it to perfection. He knew exactly what he had to do. Run the ball down their throats, control the clock, keep their offense off the field. And that is precisely what happened. The time of possession tells the entire story. 39 minutes and 18 seconds for the Bears. 20 minutes and 42 seconds for the Eagles. The Bears had 28 first downs to Philadelphia's 14. They converted third downs. They sustained drives. They wore down that Eagles defense until there was nothing left. This was a clinic in how to win a football game when your passing attack is not at its best. And let me tell you about the defense. Missing TJ Edwards, missing Noah Sewell, missing Ruben Hippolyte II. The top 3 linebackers all sitting out. And what did this defense do? They created 2 massive turnovers that completely shifted momentum. Kevin Byard, the veteran safety who came over in free agency, picked off Jalen Hurts, just snatched the ball right out of the air and gave the offense great field position. That is what championship defenses do. They create opportunities when the team needs them most. The fourth quarter was when the Bears put this game away for good. Caleb Williams hit Cole Kmet on a beautiful 28-yard play-action touchdown pass that made it 24-9. That was the dagger. That was the moment when everyone in that stadium knew it was over. The Eagles tried to make it interesting late with a touchdown, but they could not convert the two-point attempt. Then they tried an onside kick, and Rome Odunze fell on it to seal the victory. Game over. Statement made. You want to know what the most satisfying part of this win was? Watching all those Philadelphia fans who once booed Santa Claus streaming out of the stadium before the game even ended. They gave up on their world champions. They could not even stick around to watch the final minutes. That is what happens when your team gets dominated so thoroughly that there is no hope left. The Bears did not just beat the Eagles. They broke their spirit. Ben Johnson has now won 9 of his first 12 games as head coach of the Chicago Bears. 9 wins in 10 games at one point. The Bears are currently the 2nd seed in the National Football Conference at 9-3. They are leading the NFC North. They are heading to Green Bay next week with a chance to extend that lead. This is not a dream. This is not a mirage. This is real. The Chicago Bears are back, and they are here to stay. What do you think about this historic performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Now let me tell you about the play that might have been the turning point of the entire game. The play that showed everyone watching that this Bears defense has something special. The play that stopped the most unstoppable short yardage play in modern NFL history. Nahshon Wright just did something that nobody has been able to do consistently for 3 years. He stopped the tush push. And he did not just stop it. He turned it into a turnover that completely flipped the momentum of this game. Here is the situation. The Eagles had just scored to cut the lead to 10-9 midway through the 3rd quarter. They had all the momentum. Then they intercepted Caleb Williams on a screen pass attempt. Philadelphia had the ball at the Bears' 12-yard line. 1st and goal. The defending world champions were about to take the lead on their home field. Everything was setting up perfectly for them. This was their moment to seize control of the game. 3rd and 1 at the 12. Everyone in the stadium knew what was coming. The tush push. The play that has been virtually unstoppable since the Eagles started running it. The play that converts at an absurd rate. The play that has frustrated defensive coordinators across the entire league. Jalen Hurts lined up under center. The offensive line got into their stance. The pushmen got ready behind Hurts. The ball was snapped. Hurts took the handoff and dove forward into a mass of humanity. Bodies everywhere. A giant pile at the line of scrimmage. And then something incredible happened. Bears players started pointing frantically in their direction. The officials stopped the play. They started digging through the pile. And when they finally got to the bottom, there was Nahshon Wright lying on top of the football. Fumble recovery. Bears ball at the 13-yard line. The replays showed exactly what happened. Wright, with incredible awareness and technique, worked his way into that pile. He found the ball in Hurts' arms, and with the deftness of a pickpocket, he just pulled it right out, ripped it clean away from the quarterback. Then he fell on it before anyone else could react. It was one of the most heads-up plays you will ever see in football. The kind of play that separates good players from great players. The kind of play that wins championships. And here is what makes this even more remarkable. That was Nahshon Wright's 8th takeaway of the season. 8! He leads the entire National Football League. 3 fumble recoveries. 5 interceptions. This is a cornerback who was not even a starter coming into the season. This is a player who has absolutely exploded onto the scene and become one of the most impactful defensive players in the entire league. Think about the timing of this play. The Eagles were about to take the lead. The crowd was going crazy. The momentum had completely shifted, and Wright just snatched it all away with one incredible individual effort. That is the mark of a championship-caliber player. That is the kind of play that defines seasons. That is why the Bears are 9-3 and sitting in 2nd place in the NFC. The Bears capitalized immediately. They took that ball at the 13 and marched 87 yards in 12 plays. Kyle Monangai punched it in from 4 yards out to make it 17-9 early in the 4th quarter. That drive took over 6 minutes off the clock. It completely demoralized the Eagles. It was the sequence that essentially ended the game right there. Where would the Bears be without Nahshon Wright? That is a question nobody was asking before the season started. That is a question that now has a very clear answer. They would not be 9-3. They would not be leading the division. They would not be the second seed in the conference. This man has been absolutely essential to everything this defence has accomplished. He has been the difference maker in multiple games. He has been the playmaker that every championship defence needs. The tush push has been the most frustrating play in football for 3 years. Defensive coordinators have tried everything, different alignments, different techniques, different personnel packages. Nothing has worked consistently. And then Nahshon Wright just goes into that pile and rips the ball away like it is nothing. That is not just physical ability. That is football intelligence. That is awareness. That is the kind of player you build a defence around. Let me tell you about the quiet hero of this entire winning streak, the player who stepped up when the Bears needed him most, the rookie who just might have solved the one remaining question mark on this offense. Ozzy Trapilo made his first start of the season at left tackle against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, and he was absolutely outstanding. And now, after another solid performance against the Eagles, it is time to ask a serious question. Has Ryan Poles found his long-term answer at the most important position on the offensive line? The left tackle position has been a problem all season long for the Bears. Braxton Jones started the year there, but he was struggling badly. Pro Football Focus ranked him 66th out of 80 qualified offensive tackles. That is not good enough when you have a franchise quarterback you need to protect. Jones ended up on injured reserve in Week 7 with a knee injury. The Bears thought they had a solution. Theo Bennett, an undrafted rookie, took over the position. He was better than Jones in the running game. The ground attack really took off with him in the lineup, but he was actually worse in pass protection. Pro Football Focus had him ranked 62nd out of 80 tackles. Still not good enough. Still a weak link that opposing defences could exploit. Still a problem that needed to be solved. And then Bennett injured his quad before the Steelers game. Enter Ozzy Trapilo. Trapilo was a second-round pick out of Boston College. The Bears liked him enough to use significant draft capital on him. But he had been waiting for his opportunity, learning, developing, getting ready for his moment. And when that moment came against one of the best defences in the league, featuring TJ Watt, a former Defensive Player of the Year, Trapilo absolutely delivered. He allowed 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, just 1 pressure the entire game. The offensive line as a whole allowed only 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 quarterback hit against a Mike Tomlin defense that usually dominates. That performance was a massive reason why the Bears were able to score 31 points and win that game. The offense needed to carry the team because the defense was missing so many starters. And they did it because the offensive line, led by Trapilo, gave Caleb Williams time to operate. Ben Johnson spoke about Trapilo this week, and his comments were extremely telling. He said he no longer views Trapilo as a rookie. He said Trapilo has come out of his shell in recent weeks and learned that he belongs in this league. When a head coach talks about a player like that, it means something significant has changed. It means the coaching staff has seen something that makes them believe this player is ready for a bigger role. Johnson also said they will see who starts at left tackle if Bennett is healthy, but he specifically cited Trapilo as a big reason they won the Steelers game. That is not subtle. That is the head coach basically telling everyone that Trapilo has earned the right to keep that job. That is the head coach saying he trusts this rookie to protect his franchise quarterback's blind side. That is a huge vote of confidence. Now, let me be fair about something. Trapilo is benefiting from having an outstanding offensive line around him. Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson at guard are both excellent players. Drew Dolman at centre is solid. Darnell Wright at right tackle is one of the best young tackles in the league. And Caleb Williams is an elite escape artist who can make life easier for his offensive line with his mobility. All of that helps a young tackle find his footing. But here is what you cannot teach. Here is what separates players who have it from players who do not. Trapilo has not looked overwhelmed. He has not looked like a rookie getting thrown into the fire. He has looked like a player who belongs. He has looked confident. He has looked technically sound. He has looked like someone who can be a long-term solution at the most important position On the offensive line, the Bears have Caleb Williams locked up for the next several years. They have built an offense around him that is starting to click on all cylinders. The running game is dominant. The receiving weapons are talented. The scheme is creative and aggressive. But none of it matters if you cannot protect the quarterback. None of it matters if the left tackle position is a revolving door of mediocrity. And that is why what Trapilo has shown in these last 2 games is so important. If Trapilo can continue playing at this level, the Bears suddenly have their offensive line set for years to come. They have their 5 starters locked in. They have the foundation to build a championship offense. They have the protection that allows Caleb Williams to reach his full potential. That is how you sustain success in this league. That is how you go from a 1-year turnaround to a perennial contender. You find your guys up front and you keep them together. The Chicago Bears just sent a message to the entire National Football League. They are not pretenders. They are not a fluke. They are not a team that is going to fade away when the competition gets tough. They are legitimate, physical, dominant, and ready to compete for a championship. Ben Johnson has completely transformed this franchise in 1 season. The running game is elite. The defense creates turnovers. The offensive line is coming together. And the doubters have officially run out of excuses. 9 wins in 12 games. 2nd seed in the NFC, leading the division, heading to Lambeau Field with a chance to extend that lead. This is real. This is happening. The Bears are back. If you want to be the first to know every single development with this team before anyone else, hit that subscribe button right now. Bear down!